Barcelona, Melbourne, Chicago, Mumbai. The world offers some fascinating second cities, impressive enough to rival their capitals. Major economic powerhouses with booming tourism industries. Cities across the world prove that you don't need to be a country's main metropolitan area to make noise. When it comes to the UK's second city, the holder of the title is somewhat contested. Since the First World War, it was widely considered to be Birmingham that stood immediately in London's shadow. Scotland's largest city, Glasgow, has been floated as a possible contender, along with Manchester, which, since the turn of the century, has seen huge levels of growth and investment. It also benefits from being the central hub of the appropriately named region of Greater Manchester. But which is the UK's second city? Determining this is actually pretty tricky, because there's no official title. And what do you consider? Population size, economy, culture, historical impact? If you reduce the question to the most basic metric, population size, then Birmingham should retain the title. Birmingham's population of 1.1 million inhabitants massively overshadows Manchester's 550,000. That's the city of Manchester alone though. Once you factor in the residents of Greater Manchester, that number skyrockets to 2.8 million. And the distinction between Manchester and Greater Manchester is becoming increasingly blurred. The population of Glasgow stands at 635,200. Glasgow was famously labelled the second city of the empire by Queen Victoria, and was the second most populous city in the UK until the 1951 census, when it was overtaken by Birmingham. It mainly stays in contention on the basis of it being Scotland's biggest city. Over the past few decades, Manchester's rising status has been inescapable. The rise of the Premier League internationally has only fueled the city's global reputation. It's a regular feature on international travel lists, and in 2022 was named the 13th best city in the world by Time Out, although beaten by Glasgow in third and Edinburgh, which topped the list. Manchester has also made quite the name for itself as a hub of media production, accelerating its presence nationally. A UK-based think tank called the Globalisation and World Cities Research Network studies the relationships between cities in the context of globalisation. They rank cities based upon their international connectedness and categorise them into 3 tiers: Alpha, Beta and Gamma. Currently, the only Alpha UK city is London, placed in an additional Alpha++ sub-tier that it shares only with New York. Both Manchester and Edinburgh find themselves in the Beta tier, with Belfast and Glasgow ranking as Gamma cities. There's an additional 2 categories: high sufficiency and sufficiency. Cities in either of these tiers are found to not be overly dependent on other world cities. Birmingham and Leeds rank as high sufficiency. There is an argument for Birmingham to retain its title as the UK's second city, but it's an increasingly older demographic that sees it this way. A 2007 study conducted by the BBC found that only 40% of the UK population viewed Birmingham as the second city, versus Manchester's 48%. Amongst 16 to 24-year-olds, almost 60% said Manchester took the title. This was backed up once again in 2015, when a YouGov study found that 30% of people saw Manchester as the fit for the UK's second capital, with Birmingham trailing at 20%. The Scottish capital of Edinburgh claimed a meaty 12% in that study. There are unlimited factors that could decide which city deserves the spot: how many cathedrals they have, how many metro stations they have, how many football teams they have. It's hard to measure national and international reputation, with population size, economy, and public perception, when each city prevails in different areas. And until the day that the government sees it as an issue pressing enough to hold a referendum on the matter, it's unlikely that we'll ever get a clear enough answer. Let us know which city you view as the UK's second city in the comments below. For more videos like this, subscribe to VFAX. A thumbs up and a comment would really help us out as well. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok. See you next time.